Hello, hello, welcome, and thanks again for listening to another episode of the Hangry Mexican. This podcast has taken me from Santa Barbara to Los Angeles and abroad, if you want to count those remote interviews I've done. But whenever I'm in LA, I try to get, something that I may not be able to find in Santa Barbara. And LA, of course, Hollywood is there, the capital of American cinema. And I thought, you know what? I need an actress on this podcast. Well, here comes Harmony Smith. Now, Harmony is a native Angelino who started doing TV really when she was a child. And she has continued doing TV and movies ever since those humble beginnings. She has been in Internet Love, Charmed and Dangerous, Weird Science, Boy Meets World, Melrose Place, but she's probably best known for playing Rita, the sexy double-crossing bank manager in the film What Planet Are You From?, which stars Garry Shandling, Greg Kinnear, and Annette Bening. So I was very excited to talk to Harmony and get to know her a little bit more. I met up with Harmony at Coral Tree Cafe in Encino, where we discussed her current projects, her humble beginnings, and anything in between. We even talked about Friends, the show Friends, and what character she mostly identifies with. And the answer will surprise you, or maybe not. She has a bubbly personality. She's awesome. Let's get to the interview. DJ, roll that music. So much for being on this podcast.
You're welcome.
So for everybody that wants to look you up, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Harmony Smith, and I'm a Los Angeles native, and I'm an actress and a filmmaker. And to look me up, where would you look me up? Maybe IMDb?
Yeah.
Or my Instagram, it's under Harmony Smith.
Yeah. So how many movies have you done so far?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. I would have to count. I've done a few movies and a lot of television.
Yeah.
A lot of commercials, lots of modeling stuff, which I don't do much of anymore because I prefer acting and filmmaking. So
actually, that was my next question, because you've been behind the cameras and you've been in front of the cameras.
Yeah.
But you prefer being in front of the cameras more.
I do.
Oh, why is that?
I think that I mean, so much respect to filmmakers. It is hard. It is hard work. It's harder than anyone could ever know. I have to say, if you are, one of those people who likes to criticize films and criticize television and stuff, you really need to be on set to appreciate exactly what goes on to getting that stuff, made. Because even the worst film in the world, just the fact that it got made is a miracle. There's so much that goes into it, and I have so much respect for filmmakers, especially after doing it for a few years. And I still like producing and writing and stuff like that, but I think my days of directing are over because it doesn't suit my personality. I like a less regimented lifestyle. I like to be super free and creative, and I don't like having to tell people what to do. And that made me kind of like not the best director. I think that some people, appreciated me as a director because I'm definitely an actor's director. I speak an acting language that actors understand, and I can get really great performances out of the actors. But I think that was, the extent. I'd rather have a more casual lifestyle than all that goes into filmmaking. It's really hard, basically. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Well, yeah, because as a filmmaker, I would think that you're involved in every single aspect from the beginning of it, from the conception of it, to the post-production aspect of it.
I mean, I was, definitely, because I was producing and I was directing, and sometimes writing, directing, producing, sometimes just writing, which I really enjoyed. But on the projects that I was directing and executive producing, there was just no end to it, because I'm kind of perfectionistic, and, you know, that personality can really struggle with art, which is never done. You know, it can never be perfect. So I would just want to keep going and perfecting and perfecting and perfecting, and at some point you just have to let it go and be like, it's good enough, and you know, you did your job and it's time to move on. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm moving on and moving on to better things, hopefully. Yeah.
So you're an LA girl. You were born and raised.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here and Hawaii too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is it even a fair question to say which of the two places you like the most?
Definitely. I would choose Hawaii. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. Like, on one end, you have like the capital of cinema.
Yeah.
And then you got Hawaii.
Which is why I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the when I think of Hawaii, I've never been, but that's on my bucket list. Because whenever I see it in films, whenever I think about it, whatever I read of it, it's always positive. It's always like it's sunny, it's tropical weather, very nice weather, great beaches. Mm-hmm. It's relaxation time.
Yes, you don't even have to be at the beach for it to be beautiful. Like, everywhere is beautiful in Hawaii. The air is beautiful. Just, it's temperate. You know, it's never too hot. It's never too cold. It often rains, so there's like a nice sprinkle happening, but it's like warm rain. And it's paradise. I mean, I think everyone knows. But it takes a certain personality to be able to live there, because it isn't a big city. You know, it's a very small town. And I like that part, though.
Oh, good. So were you born in LA or born in Hawaii?
I was born in LA.
Oh, okay.
And then we moved to Hawaii when I was 7. And then I came back when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So then when did you start getting into doing movies, into acting?
Well, actually, I was acting even as a little kid, because my grandmother was an agent, a children's agent.
Oh, okay.
So she kind of like put me in stuff when I was really little. And then, you know, when we were in Hawaii, obviously I didn't do anything. Then when I came back, I got more into modeling, because it was just my path, I guess. It just kind of fell into my lap. And then I started disliking modeling, because I think that I like to talk too much, and my personality is just like, I just can't sit still for that amount of time, you know? It was frustrating. I'm just like, I need to be up and moving and talking to people. And so anyway, I found acting again and just fell in love, and it's just what I love to do, you know. It's my favorite thing to do. So yeah.
Well, okay, so here's a question, because a lot of people, they want to get into acting. They want to be, you know, the next Julia Roberts or the next Tom Cruise.
Right.
But one of the things that you come to find is that maybe most people don't even make it into any type of acting other than maybe a couple commercials here and there.
Yeah.
So what have you seen works best for you in your career? What has been like the thing that has made you pop?
Well, I mean, it's very much a business.
Yeah.
You know, actors are dreamers, and they're creatives, and they come from all over the place. And, you know, sometimes you think, well, all I have to do is come to LA and it's just going to happen. But LA is filled with actors. And, you know, you have to find a way to be seen. If you're not known, you're not going to, you know, get any auditions. You have to find representation, and you have to find, people that are sort of doing the same thing as you. Like, I think it's a great idea to join an acting class, definitely. I joined Playhouse West a long time ago, and it was like my second home. And I became just close friends with everyone there, and including the teachers, and it's a really great place. They started a film festival, and they have industry professionals come in and speak to everybody, and also you have to learn how to act. I mean, that's a big part too. It's like, it's not as easy as everyone thinks. There's definitely a technique to it. And so you have to hone your craft. And it's the kind of thing that, like, if you're not working on it every day, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it is very competitive. And so you need to be doing everything you can, really everything that you can think of. If you're not at a 9 to 5, if you were at a 9 to 5 job, it's like you'd be working the whole time, right? Yeah. Well, like, as an actor, you need to do that too. You still need to be working on it if you want to get somewhere.
Yeah. What would you say is the hardest thing about being an actor?
I'd say the rejection.
Yeah, that's a big one, I think.
Yeah, it's actors are such sensitive people. Yeah. And so, me personally, speaking for myself, when I get a role, I fall in love with that role, and I put my heart and soul into it, and I become that character for the duration of however long it is until the audition or whatever. And if you don't get the audition, or even if you're just sort of like overlooked, or you get to the waiting room and there's so many other people there, and it's like, it can kill you, if you're not careful and nurturing your little kid inner artist. You have to take care of yourself really well, and make sure to tell yourself, if you don't get the part, it's like, it's not your fault. I mean, it could be because you're too tall, like me. I'm tall. Sometimes that played into it, or if they want a redhead, or you never know what it is, and it's not your fault. So you have to make sure, if something bad happens, if you don't get the part or whatever happens, I always try and reward myself a little bit. Like, I'll take myself out, or I'll spend time with someone who's really nurturing, because those things help you keep going. Because it's not just every once in a while. This happens all the time. You suffer rejections sometimes every day.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of auditions that you book compared to the ones that you go on, it can be really disheartening.
Yeah, I spoke with someone just recently who said that they had been rejected over 100 times, just back to back, over 100 times before even getting a small role, and he was as a tree.
Oh, oh, that's so sweet.
And they told me, it's rejection's a big thing, and most people at that point would quit.
Yeah.
What kept you going?
I'm not a quitter. I don't know what it is about me. I can't quit. I want to quit so often, but something in me is a fighter. It's like, when you know what your calling is and you know what you love to do, it makes it pretty hard to just quit.
When did you realize that this was your calling, that acting was what you wanted to do?
I think it's been, in my heart, I've probably always known, but definitely over the last few years, because it became such a challenge to keep going. When people are saying, people in your family are like, I want to move and I don't want to stay here anymore. And it's like, no, I have to be here. I have to be here because this is where I feel alive. This is where I get to do what I love to do. It makes you realize what your calling is. Not to say I don't have other callings. There's plenty of other stuff to do. I did enjoy writing and directing and all of that. In my future, I hope that there's other stuff that I want to do. But this is my favorite, so that's why I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the ways that we connected was because you like visiting my hometown of Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
What, I know you said you like the small town feel,
yes.
But Santa Barbara used to be the Hollywood back in the old days. Yeah, it was the Hollywood until everybody started moving out here, and Hollywood was created.
How did I not know that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I used to have
That's so cool.
Yeah, there used to be the first production studio in Santa Barbara was called the Flying A Studio, and the old building is still. It's still there. It's like on Mission Street and State Street area.
Yeah.
And I actually used to have a little office there because I had my own production, film video production business. But then I dedicated after that. I wanted to dedicate my time to doing news and working in the news industry. And now I'm doing digital. So it's
right.
But it wasn't until maybe I hit my teens that I really started appreciating the history of it.
Yeah.
Is that something? Is that the way you feel about your hometown of LA?
I do. Yeah. I love LA. You know, people put LA down a lot.
Yeah, true.
People I am close with put it down a lot, and I'm like, what's your problem? Like, could it get any better? The weather is beautiful, and you know, I know that some people don't like the vibe of the people. They say LA people are fake or whatever. I disagree. I really do. I think that people are very truthful here, you know. It's like you can be whoever you want to be. And I feel that people are very friendly here. And it's just a super relaxed environment. I guess you'd call it liberal, you know. I mean, I'm a liberal, yeah. I like California. I like LA. And I don't see anything wrong with it other than the pollution and the traffic, you know, which is and the soaring housing costs. Yeah. That's what everyone complains about.
Yeah, no, the traffic can be a little frustrating, but to me at least, that's not a reason to stay away from LA.
No.
It's I think every aspect of it is so beautiful, especially with all the neighborhoods. You go from one to the next to the next, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a little bit of everything.
You do.
You get the mountains and you get the oceans.
Absolutely.
You get the downtown area.
Yeah.
Which I was just there recently. I've always purposely tried to stay away from the downtown LA scene. Mainly because of the parking.
Right. Right.
But so I had to go down there for a little business, and it looks different now than some years ago. It looks cleaner, more friendly.
Oh, yes. Yes. Downtown LA, I mean, it's being revitalized.
Yes.
There are so many great old buildings that have been restored. You know, there's an amazing nightlife, clubs and restaurants, really great food. You can take the subway down there, you know, if you want to go party and like not have to worry about driving. But yeah, I love downtown. I do.
Wow. So what has been your favorite location around the area that you've shot a movie? Whether it was for acting or whether it was a film that you've wrote and directed?
Wow, that's a good question. I think my favorite neighborhood in Los Angeles is Angelino Heights. And it's a very small neighborhood over by Carroll, and it's on a hill, and it was one of the first neighborhoods to be populated by politicians and doctors, and they came in and they built these incredible Victorians that tower over the city, and there's a view of downtown from up there. And I love old houses, and so anytime that I get to shoot in an old house, I'm just like in heaven, you know. I love everything about them, the windows and the fixtures and hardwood floors and all of those things that they don't put them in houses these days, you know. So Angelino Heights is definitely, it's my favorite neighborhood. I'd love to live there.
Wow.
Yeah, have you been there?
I have not.
Oh, you've got to check it out. Oh my gosh, you'd love it.
I've heard of it, but I generally don't. I gotta say, I generally don't go in that direction.
Yeah, it's in Echo Park.
Yeah. See, usually I try and navigate around that.
Yeah.
Just because most of what I do is like West LA, Santa Monica area, the Valley here. So I got to get out and explore more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can even just go for a walk. You will be amazed at the houses over there.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
Wow.
And the streets look just like they did, 100 years ago. They've preserved all of it. So
Wow.
the lanterns, everything. Yeah, it's like being on a set, kind of. It looks like a
Oh,
movie
there you
set.
go.
Yeah.
It was like an actual little neighborhood that I think was either built or it was actually there, but they were just using it
Incredible.
as a set. But yeah, I was like, wow, this is...
This stuff happens all the time around here.
Yeah.
It's like you think that something major is going down. It's just a movie.
Yeah, so how can you tell, like in your experience, being a filmmaker, being an actor, how can you tell that, oh, that's a movie going on and not something more, crazy?
I mean, sometimes you really don't know. But generally, you see all the trucks and the cameras and lights and all of that.
Yeah.
So that'll give it away.
Unless you're looking down on your phone and you're walking.
Yeah, you just
and
walk into a set.
Yeah. Do you find that you look at your phone a lot?
Yeah, I do, unfortunately. I'm kind of tied to my phone, and I am trying not to so much because it's not life. People look up from your phones,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Everyone's like, we're going to evolve into these people with our necks like hunched down,
So even with social media, how do you tackle the social media? Because I know there's so many people out there that just constantly post things, and I'm thinking, how are they enjoying the moment at that point if they just constantly keep posting?
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain techniques you can do. It's like for me, I like to document the scene.
Yeah.
It's just my nature as a photographer.
Yes.
And so I take a picture, but I don't deal with trying to create the little post right there and then. I just
Yeah.
take the picture, put my phone away.
Yeah.
Later on in the day, then I
do that
upload.
too.
Mm-hmm.
I do that a lot too. Yeah.
But do
I
you
try-
feel?
yeah.
Sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. Do you feel like with social media that you gotta keep posting almost like every little thing that you do, or is there certain things in your life that you think, oh, they're Instagram worthy?
Yeah, it's more like that. I try not to live on my phone too much. I do appreciate those people who do document everything. I think it's a giving thing to do, because if you have a following and people are that interested in you and you're constantly giving them little glimpses into your life, I think that's a very generous thing to do. So I try. I definitely try, but I'm not one of those people that's on my phone all the time. I try and post like 4 times a week on Instagram, and then I try and do at least 1 story a day. But that's not that much, Sometimes I do more if something really interesting is happening. Yeah.
What's been the most interesting thing that you've captured in your travel adventures?
My travel adventures, interesting.
Is there an experience that stands out above all the other ones?
What could it be? I mean, honestly, I love Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
It's the most gorgeous town, and the people are so friendly. I love all of the things that there are to do there, like the museum. Oh, I went to a butterfly exhibit.
Yes.
At which museum is that? It's like the
probably the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History.
Yes, I love that museum. It's so beautiful, and they had this butterfly exhibit, and I went in, and I love butterflies. It goes back to my grandma. My grandma told me that she believes that butterflies are, souls that who have come back.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good way of looking at that.
Yes.
I love that.
And so whenever I see a beautiful orange monarch, I always think it's my grandma. She had orange hair, she had red hair, and she loved butterflies, and she had them all over her house. She had pictures of them everywhere. But when she died, I had a dream about these blue butterflies with eyeballs or eyes on their wings.
Oh, wow.
And this friend of mine, mentioned that it was this incredible dream about seeing things in a new way, that, I was blossoming creatively, and this was right when I was really moving into filmmaking. And anyway, I made the butterfly, the symbol for my production company, the blue butterfly with the eyes on the wings. But so to go into the museum and have these butterflies flying everywhere, really exotic ones, and some of them landing on me, it was otherworldly. I loved it.
And I know a lot of people are health conscious.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I mean, would you agree? You just kind of have to experience life a little bit.
Absolutely. Just in moderation. That's my motto. Yeah.
What's the healthiest thing you've eaten?
The healthiest thing?
Yeah.
I eat healthy stuff all the time. I do wheatgrass.
Wait, beet grass?
Wheatgrass.
Oh, wheatgrass. Like a shot?
Yes. It is so gross. Like, you have to, I hold my nose and then I, eat like an apple right afterwards, or it's the most disgusting taste. But once you take it, you can actually feel your body changing. Like, it purifies your blood, it purifies your skin, your cells. Wheatgrass is very good for you if you're got a toxic thing going on, if you're feeling bad. And I do lots of juice. I'm pretty healthy, I have to say. Yeah. But I do indulge in wine. I love wine. And chocolate,
Oh, there you go. Dark chocolate?
No, I like the yummy milk chocolate.
There you go. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I love C's Candy,
Yes.
of course. But there's a very local chocolate shop in Santa Barbara called Chocolat de Calibrason.
Ooh.
Chocolat de Calibrason is located right on State Street in the heart of downtown. It's like State Street and Figueroa Street.
Okay.
And they sell. You get the counter there, and the chocolate maker. Most of the time, he's there.
Yeah.
And so he's dressed in his chocolate maker outfit and that little hat and everything. And I think he's French. That's hence the name. But it's.
Have you seen the movie Chocolat?
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Isn't it? I love that movie so much.
Yeah. When you saw that movie, did it make you feel like you really wanted to be in that movie? Like you wanted that role?
Yes. This is a common occurrence. Every time I watch something, I'm like, oh, I want to be in that. Yeah, I just can't help it.
Oh, man. Oh, let me ask you this. Going back to acting, have you ever been in a position where you're auditioning for something for a film, and then somebody else gets it, and then you go see that movie, and then you find out who that person is that got that part?
Yeah, of course.
Do you feel like jealous?
Yes.
Do you feel like you hate that person?
No, I don't feel like I hate that person because the fact that someone got the part gives hope to everybody. It's just a matter of time before it happens for you. If you really put in the time and you have faith, I think as an actor, one must have faith, because if you don't, what's going to keep you here? You just have to believe that the right role is going to come to you. And, the acting roles are kind of like, the perfect acting role comes into your life when you need it. So I always learn something when I'm playing whatever part. It's really interesting how that happens. It's like I'm just meant to go through that journey at that time, because it's always an exploration of yourself, and every role, even though you're playing a character, it's really you. You may have an accent or, different hair color or whatever, but so if someone else got the role, it was meant for them. It's okay. But with theater, I mean, hey, you can play that part. There's nothing stopping you from, doing the play in your own way.
Can you do accents?
Yeah, I can.
Wow.
I love accents.
What's the most common accent that you've done at auditions?
The most common?
Yeah.
Oh, probably Southern. Yeah, Southern. That's a common one. I just, I feel it. Like if I'm reading it, sometimes what happens to me is in my mind I'll start reading it in a certain accent, and that's like a clue. Hey, it's meant to be done like this. And, I'm one of those people who I'll throw an accent on anything. Like I'll talk in accents all day. I love doing it so much. And sometimes, the director or whoever has to say, no, you don't need the accent on this one, okay? And I'm just like, aw, it's my favorite part. Darn it.
Oh, man. I got to say, this mango iced tea is very delicious. I'm so glad you suggested this place.
Coral Tree Cafe, yes.
I've driven past this area several times, and I've never... it would just go out of my
Yeah.
peripheral vision,
Yeah.
and I would never stop here.
I know. It's special.
Yeah.
Everything is healthy here too. It's all organic. And
Yeah.
They have gluten free if you're into that.
Wow. How did you discover this place?
Oh, well, this is a sad story, but my best friend and I used to have breakfast here, every couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd catch up and everything. She moved, so she abandoned me. She's off in Utah right now. But we still FaceTime and stuff, but we don't get to come here anymore, so that's kind of sad.
Well, who do you come here with now?
I don't come here with you. You're the first person I've been here with since Natasha left.
I feel so lucky.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very like rustic looking. I love this look. The country.
Yeah.
There's some
American farmhouse.
Yeah. Every year I go visit a family over in New Hampshire, and this is a little bit of what it looks like. Their home, and it's like 50 acres of paradise for me.
Oh my God.
And the fact that there's poor cell phone signal out here makes it even better for me.
Yeah.
Because I just
definitely.
get to unplug.
Yes. I do that when I go back east. I pretend like I'm in the 1800s,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, why not? I mean, everything looks that way. It's like really easy to like slip into that.
Wow. Do you ever like turn on fire up the candles and don't
definitely.
even like turn on the lights or anything?
Yeah, because in some of those old houses that have been preserved, it's like it's easy. You can just pretend. It's fun. It's a simpler time. It was a simpler time.
Yeah.
It's
is there a period?
It feels good,
Yeah. Well, is there a period of time in history where you think, oh, I wish I could live during that time?
There's many. It happens all the time for me. But I have to remind myself that women didn't have the same freedom they did back then, and that kind of snaps me out of it because I'm super modern in the way that I think about things. Like I like to speak up and I don't like being told what to do. So I probably wouldn't have lasted very long back then. But I love the Victorian era. As I said, I love Victorian homes and the way people dressed back then. But then you look at those old photos of people like riding their bikes, Have you seen any of those photos of like Western Avenue with, is it an avenue or a boulevard? I'm not sure, but there used to be hundreds of people riding their bikes to work, and it was just a dirt road. And everyone's dressed in like their long Victorian gowns, and there's just like dust everywhere. Can you imagine how hard that would have been?
I've seen these old pictures from like Santa Barbara, for example. There's the Santa Barbara Historical Museum.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to that museum, they have all these artifacts from the inception of Santa Barbara to the present. It's just so fascinating, the history. But then I see these photos. There was one in particular that I remember seeing. It was all these people at the beach, the waterfront, the promenade area, dressed in their, like 1800s outfits with, like, everybody was so covered up. The only thing you could see was the head.
I love those photos.
Yeah, me too. But then I'm thinking, how can they even survive the heat?
I don't know.
Dressed like that.
I think women fainted all the time back then. Because they were wearing those corsets too, and you just couldn't even breathe, Yeah, I definitely like the way we dress now more. It's romantic, thinking about it, but I could never wear a corset. That would be awful. Especially in this heat.
Yeah, exactly. In the valley.
Oh.
It's, I talked to a friend of mine who works and lives in Palm Springs, and it gets way hotter over there than here.
Yeah.
But she says that she comes here and she gets cold.
Oh, really?
Even like in this weather.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I know, because she's so used to this intense heat out in the desert.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that way. Like when I was growing up, no one used air conditioning. I don't know why, but in my house it was like, don't turn that on. I don't know. I guess they were afraid of the electric bill or something. But I grew up not using it, and so when I'm air-conditioned areas, or if I'm sleeping and the air conditioner's on, I'm like, I hate it. It makes me feel so weird. I feel like I'm going to get like sick or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that. Like even Santa Barbara, I know Santa Barbara has, I don't think they have air conditioning. Well, I think now the new homes do have air conditioning,
Yeah.
but there's so many of them in Santa Barbara that don't,
Yeah.
precisely because of the breeze. But it's
Yes.
just been getting hotter and hotter each summer, it feels like.
Is it?
Yeah, there was one time when I was living there that there was one summer where it got up to, I think it was upper 90s, and there was no AC, so it was
Brutal.
horrible. Like even you can take off your clothes, and it's almost like you have them on. Like
Yeah.
I hate that type of weather. That's why
Yeah.
I think I do so well when I go to New Hampshire and it's snowing, and everybody's telling me, "Oh no, put on a jacket, put on a jacket." And I tell them, "No, I'm okay. I'm actually like." I'm enjoying this.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, my body naturally runs hot,
Yeah.
but then I don't
Mine
know,
does
something,
too. Yeah.
I just enjoy the cold. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I do in theory. I love the way the snow looks and everything, but I've really only been in the snow a few times in my life, so I'm not really accustomed to snow.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, oh, I'd love to live like that, but I have a feeling I'd wimp out. Like I wouldn't be able to handle it.
One of my pet peeves is when I have to. When somebody gets so close to me that they're exhaling hot air in my face.
Me too.
Yeah,
I hate that.
Yeah, because I mean, even if their breath doesn't stink, like that doesn't matter. It's just the fact, the fact that it's hot air
Yeah.
blowing in my face, and I'm trying to breathe.
I know. I feel the same way, man.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. It's like, get out of my space. I need my little area here.
Exactly. So when it comes to weather, that's exactly the same thing that happens if it's windy but it's so hot that all you're getting is wind in the air. That's a hot wind in your face. Oh, I can't deal with that. That's hell for me.
It can be brutal.
Yeah. But do you have any pet peeves? Talking about pet peeves.
I have lots of pet peeves. Yes. I don't like the sound of people chewing.
Wow.
Like
okay.
it just gets on my nerves, and I didn't realize it until I was reading. Someone else was mentioning that it's actually a thing. Like there's a name for this.
Yeah.
It's like a disorder.
Yeah.
And I was reading about it, and I was like, oh my God, I have that. Like I've always wondered why if someone comes near me and they chew right next to me, it makes me feel so angry, and like my feathers really get ruffled. Like I got to get away from that person.
I know exactly what you're talking
It's
about.
a
There is
real
a name for it.
thing.
Yeah.
And like little, and this sounds ridiculous, but like little specks of things in my food, like that, like grosses me out. Like I have to, I have to know like exactly what's on my food. If I see, like my mom will attest to this. If there's like a little black spot or something, I'm like, and I have to like get it off.
Wow. Oh, what about this one? Your food has to be separated, like your peas here.
Are
your
you like
carrots here.
that?
Kinda.
You are? Oh my
Yeah.
God, no, I'm not. You're so OCD. I'm not like that at all.
There's only there's only certain exceptions when it comes for me to do that, and I keep telling myself it's all going in the same place.
It really is.
I've gotten better over the years, but there was a time when I wouldn't even eat it.
Wow.
If it was touching.
Yeah.
If like the toast was touching the maple syrup from something else, like the bacon
I'm kind
or
of
whatever.
like the opposite. Like if the maple syrup touches the bacon, that's like the best part.
Yeah.
Or if it gets on the eggs and the hash brown, like, ooh, that is good. Even I kind of like to lump it all together, actually. Like sour cream and salt, it just all of it like mixed together is really good.
Is there something that you would not ever eat?
I can't eat runny eggs. Nope. Can't even think about it, honestly. No.
Really? Is it because you're allergic to them, or you just don't like the?
Just the look of them. I can't do it. I don't like slimy things.
Oh yeah, you probably wouldn't like cactus then.
Cactus.
Like grilled cactus, even.
Ooh, that sounds interesting though.
It's good and it sounds good.
Yeah.
but it is a little slimy.
Slimy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do that, but slimy things. Nope, not for me. I like everything like really well done. I like everything cooked a lot.
Well, even the meat. Do you like a little bit of pink in it at least?
No, I mean I don't really like meat. I was
Uh-huh.
vegan for a long time, but I had to start eating meat because of my health, and it's a controversial subject. But so that's why I don't judge other people. It's like I think that everyone's body is different.
Wait, so they actually told you that you had to eat meat because you were unhealthy?
Yeah, I was like, I kept losing weight, and I was really foggy headed, and I was kind of a mess. And so I started eating meat again, but I don't enjoy it. Like, I don't really like eating meat, but I do it, for the protein. So
To stay healthy.
yeah,
like everything has a balance, I feel.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I try not to have too much sugar in things. Like this is fine for me. Like I love iced teas. So tonic water, it has sugar in it.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't realize until I looked at the label, and that's why it tasted so sweet too. And I thought it was just the quinine that added that flavor, but
oh wow.
yeah, so it has some sugar to it, and so I try and stay away from now. But yeah, every now and then I don't mind. I try and watch my intake on sugar because it's not good to consume
No,
too much, and
it's definitely not.
everything has sugar. That's
Yeah.
why I got just in the last few years I've gotten more into cooking and grilling especially. Do you grill at all?
I mean, me personally, no.
Do you want to grill?
No,
or
no.
is that-
Me personally, no. I will have the man. Whoever wants to grill, he can grill. Yeah, I'm not into grilling. I don't care for it. I like to cook. Sometimes I cook. But I have no need to barbecue.
And what's your favorite dish to cook?
Favorite dish to cook? What could it be? Well, okay, my family we have a family recipe for cheesecake.
Uh-huh.
It's out of this world. And my mom, when we moved to Hawaii, I was raised by a single mom, and she was trying to figure out, like, how can we live in Hawaii, and how can I make a living for us to stay here? Because originally we went over there on a vacation, and my mom just decided she didn't want to go back home. So her best friend was like, well, Barbara, you make a really great cheesecake. And she was like, I do. And so she started making cheesecakes for the restaurants. And then she started, bringing them to catering events and stuff like that. And then she opened her own restaurant. And it was all, from the cheesecake. The cheesecake was the beginning to it all. And it's our family recipe. But I came to find out that the cheesecake recipe was really just the recipe on the box. Not currently on the box, but on the box back in like the 50s.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, if you can find that recipe, it's really good.
Wow. Well, do you have a recipe book that you inherited from?
I do, yeah.
Wow.
My grandma's little recipe box.
Wow.
Yeah, it's filled with all her recipes and her handwriting. I love that little box.
Wow. Do you add recipes to it?
Yeah,
or-
definitely.
Ah.
Yeah, but I'm the kind of cook that I don't really follow recipes very well. I just sort of like throw in a dash of this and a dash of that. And, I think that they still turn out pretty good. I'm just, I don't follow recipes very well.
Same here.
Really?
Yeah, so especially when it comes to grilling. Well, grilling is so time specific.
Yes.
So I get that, but then the seasoning part, like I try and do trial and error.
Yeah, that's part of the challenge,
yeah,
is getting it all done.
exactly.
But do you marinate stuff first? Because that can help.
Yeah, well, I've grilled turkey before for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Impressive.
the first year I did that, I dry rubbed it. And then I took some apples and I just stuffed the turkey with apples, and I mean, it was
sounds
good.
good.
Yeah. So it was a dry rub, but then like last year, for example, I brined the turkey. So I did that, and I I gotta find a recipe to create my own brine mix.
Yes.
I just found the convenience of going to the grocery store, and there was already something, the brine mix, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it comes with a bag already. I like that.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I threw it on the grill, and it actually tasted pretty good. What I ended up doing too was I create these smoke bombs. I call them smoke bombs because the gas grills, they're not like charcoal grills where the smoke comes up and it's not even a smoker, but you can kind of get by. So what I do is I take some tinfoil and I fold it and create little packets, and then I stuff them with wood chips, and then I just throw them in the high heat of the grill will make them smoke. And like once they smoke, they really smoke.
That's really creative.
Yeah.
You should get a Traeger grill. Have you heard of those?
No.
It smokes your food.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. It's a grill, and then it grills it.
Do you have one of those?
Yeah, you'd like it.
So then your husband's the one that grills.
My fiance, yeah.
Oh, fiance,
he grill.
okay.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. He always wants to grill. I leave it to him.
Yeah, it's my wife's the same way. She's just so I don't want to touch the grill, but then she wants everything grilled, and I like it too. I mean, I like. I've thrown vegetables in there. I've grilled desserts in there.
Really? Like what kind of a dessert?
Oh, so it's like it's almost like a peach cobbler where my wife, what she does is she slices some peaches, she puts some cinnamon on there.
Oh, yum.
And then I want to say olive oil, like a little bit of it, just to make the cinnamon stick.
Okay.
And also not to stick on the grill. So then I put them on the grill. That heat. I think it's just a few minutes.
Yeah.
So that heat softens the peaches, and because of the cinnamon, it smells so good. And then you just add a scoop of vanilla bean ice cream.
Oh my! This sounds really good. You're making me hungry now. This sounds good.
So I do that. It was trial and error. I've always wanted a grill, and I've always liked grilling because I grew up almost practically every Sunday. My parents would grill. So my dad would put the barbecue out and fire it up.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic.
Yes.
Family time.
Exactly. Yeah. Is that something you grew up with too? Like just very tight-knit family?
No. Well, my mom's side, yes. I was very close with my mother and my grandmother and all of my mom's brothers. So that was my big family, but I wasn't very close to my father because my father moved when I was really young. So I wasn't close with my dad or my half-brother, unfortunately, but I did have really a close relationship with my mom's side of the family.
Wow.
Yeah. And my grandma had like the big house, and everyone would come over for Thanksgivings, and she had a swimming pool. So, yeah, I don't recall grilling. I don't recall barbecuing, but we always had like big, Thanksgivings and Christmases and Easters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, family. Every family I feel has their own like little thing that they do when they get together, whether that's grilling or whether that's having a picnic somewhere or going to the beach or just getting together for a show or a movie or something. What has been your motivation in life to just keep you going every morning?
To keep me going every morning? Well, I mean, it's definitely my daughters. I have 2 daughters, and whether you want to get up or not, your kids are going to wake you up. So yeah, they get me up in the morning. But I mean, I am very family oriented. I really, really put a lot of effort into creating just a beautiful home environment and a stable environment for my kids. Probably because I didn't grow up with that. My mom was an amazing mom, but she had to work a lot. So I was often alone and just kind of lonely. And so I made sure to have 2 kids, not 1. And I think that, I don't think that they've ever felt very lonely because we have a lot going on at our house usually.
Did you have any siblings that you had to take care of growing up while mom was at work?
No, I didn't. My father had a son, but unfortunately I didn't get to know him very well. Yeah, but he's a very sweet guy. My dad was a good guy, but I just didn't really spend a lot of time with him.
What kind of traditions are you creating in your own family now that you have a daughter and your fiance? Like, what kind of family traditions are you creating that you didn't necessarily grow up with?
Well, I mean, their upbringing is very different than mine, but I try and do the same things, though, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter. I always make a big deal out of stuff like that. Birthdays. I like to have dinner together, although it's hard with everyone's busy schedules. I like to have dinner, and I, don't allow cell phones during dinner or anything like that. I like us to talk, even if we're in front of the TV or whatever. Sometimes we like to watch Friends because it's like good, clean humor and everyone.
Who do you identify yourself
sort of.
with more?
Oh, from Friends?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is interesting because someone has already asked me this, and I thought I was definitely a Phoebe, but she said I was a Monica, and I'm like, what? I'm so not a Monica. But maybe I am, and I don't realize it.
Are you a clean freak or something?
Hell no, I'm not at all. I think I'm a Phoebe, I really do.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with Rachel. She's cute.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a Phoebe. What about you?
I want to say Ross.
Okay,
Ross, yeah.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more like I want that stable job.
Yeah.
I don't want to cuss ruckus. I'm more of a straight shooter.
Yeah. How many times have you been married? That's the question.
Oh, once.
Okay, then you're not really a Ross.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's it. That's probably the only thing that I don't identify myself with that character. But then I think everybody has a little bit of everybody. Like sometimes, depending on the mood I'm in, I like to be super sarcastic.
Yeah. So you're a Chandler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or other times, I just feel like playing dumb, or just I don't want to think.
Joey.
Yep.
Yeah, my fiance is a Joey. He is such a Joey. Sometimes I'm like, you are Joey.
Or like Monica, like I love a tidy, clean house, so I have to do it myself. Like even the laundry. Here's one of my pet peeves with the laundry. I love when the whites and the colors are separated.
Of course you do. You like your food separated too.
Exactly. And it's only because one time I got a pink shirt because it was a disaster. But my wife likes throwing everything in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. I think she says that because they're washing it in cold water, the colors will stay intact. But I'm like so paranoid.
I would never do that.
Yeah. So I just do.
That's a risk I don't want to take. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just I do the laundry myself, cleaning too. Like I grab the vacuum cleaner and I clean the house.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way that I want. Like I want to be in a space that's clean.
You're a lot like my fiance. He's a clean freak, and in fact, he will insist on cleaning his own table at a restaurant, like after he finishes eating. And I'm just like rolling my eyes, like, why are you doing that? He's like, because it looks nicer. Okay.
I love it. Wow. I love that. Yeah. Do you find that when you go out and order, it could be either you or him or even your daughters, does somebody in your family always want to customize the order to their liking as opposed to just
me. Yeah. Guilty. I know. Everyone's just like, oh God, here she goes. I try not to be a nuisance, but I am particular. Like I said, I don't like little things in my food. Like I don't know what they are, or if anything is undercooked, I don't like that. So.
Oh man, yeah. It's it makes me feel that by doing that, I am putting more work on the folks. Like if you just go to like a coffee shop, like Starbucks, let's say. My wife likes to order like very specific things, and like I always say, oh, okay, that looks good, that looks great, and when they ask me, okay, well, what do you want to have? Whatever she had, that's fine. Like I always say, whatever she had, if it sounds so good. But if I order, I always order it just as is.
Oh, that's sweet. You don't want to make too much work for the servers.
Yeah, well, especially because...
Or for the cook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, especially because at some places you don't even tip. Mm-hmm. So it just... I feel less guilty if I'm tipping.
That's That's very considerate of you. Yeah, I tip everywhere too. I go to Starbucks, I'm like, here's your tip. They're like, because these guys are working hard, you know? It's like, why not?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just, it just makes me feel a little weird creating more work for them, I think, than that's just the way that I feel. Okay, sometimes when the food comes to me, this only has happened to me twice in my life. They bring the wrong order out.
And did you eat it?
Well, yeah, because it still looked good.
Oh my God! You're one of those people. You're so sweet. That's so sweet.
unless it's something that's completely off the wall, like if with certain things I don't like eating are calamari, for example. I just
no way.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I can't. That's one of the things I just can't handle. I don't like it.
Me neither.
So if they bring that to the table, then obviously I'm gonna say, if I didn't order it, I'm gonna say I didn't order it, or I just want to eat it if somebody else in the table ordered it. But if it's something that I definitely don't like eating. Yeah,
okay,
then I
good.
say something.
Yeah, you gotta stand your ground.
Exactly. But if I order the chicken and they bring me like this nice juicy steak that is glazed and it has all these veggies, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting that then.
How could you say no?
Yeah, exactly. But what about you?
No, I probably wouldn't eat the wrong dish just because I am pretty particular about what I eat. Yeah, it's gotten worse like in the last few years because I went gluten-free, so that makes everything so complicated.
Yeah, that gets a little tricky. Like even at health foods, I've gone to Whole Foods and try to find as much gluten-free products as I can.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And it's not that I'm sensitive to it or anything, but I have friends that are. Mm-hmm. But there's still a lot of products out there that have gluten in them. Some products that you wouldn't even expect there.
Oh, yeah. But, so if you go to Europe, it's okay to eat wheat. Oh, yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I have never been to Europe.
Well, it's only because apparently our wheat is genetically modified. And so people have built up an allergy to it. And you can have the allergy and not even realize it. Wow. I didn't know that it was a problem for me at all. But my doctor was like, try and take it out of your diet and see what happens. And so much changed for me when I took it out. Wow. And I had no idea that I had an issue at all before. And now I'm gluten-free, and it's like such a hassle. Wow. But, I do notice the benefits, so.
Uh-huh. Oh. So what's your trick when you go to the grocery store, or tips, I guess, to buy healthy stuff? Like for me, for example, I look at the label. If there's something in there I cannot pronounce, back to the shelf it goes.
Yeah.
So what are some of your tips for grocery shopping, healthy?
I mean, I'm kind of on a pretty strict diet right now because I have a trainer who told me what to eat, and I'm listening to her, and it's very simple. It's so easy. So I just listen to her, and that's what I get for myself. But, for my kids, I let them pick what they want. We just go to Trader Joe's. I don't want to put any, I don't want to, bother them with diets and worrying about that kind of stuff. I think that when you're a kid, you just, instinctively what to eat, I hope, and I don't allow, a lot of junk food or anything like that, but at Trader Joe's, I think that things are pretty healthy, or Whole Foods or whatever, so I let them pick what they want.
Yeah, I definitely love Trader Joe's.
Mm-hmm. I love Whole Foods too, but it's also a whole paycheck, right?
Yeah, exactly. So 2 tomatoes, all right. Half a week's worth of salary.
Yeah, I know. It's awful.
Although now with Amazon, they're trying to really slash the prices down. Mm-hmm. So there's some things that you can get out of Whole Foods that are okay. Most of the stuff is just stuff that can spoil within a week, like your fresh produce, that kind of stuff.
Right. You mean the Amazon Prime thing? If you're a Prime member, I know. Yeah, I heard about that.
Are you a Prime member?
I don't think so. Every time they ask me, I'm like, huh? I don't know, but I guess I should figure it out.
Oh, man. So that means you still go to the stores physically and check things out?
I do. Yeah, I do. I'm old-fashioned.
That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of places are going out of business. You've probably seen it when you go visit Santa Barbara. It's like closures.
Everyone's ordering online,
Yeah.
It's I don't have the patience for it. I like to see things and then buy them.
Yeah. There you go. What's the most expensive thing that you've ever bought, and what's the cheapest thing that you've ever bought?
The most expensive? Maybe a car, I guess. Probably a car.
But this is just for yourself, right? Not the family, just for you.
Yeah, my car is pretty much for myself.
Okay, good.
Hey, I used to have the mom van, and it worked then, but recently I got a little car that I really like.
There you go.
So I kind of treated myself for like the first time in my life, a nice car. But the cheapest, I mean, hey, I have no problem with the 99-cent store. Like, I love the 99-cent store. They have all kinds of awesome things there. You can, things that you wouldn't think that you would be able to get at the 99-cent store. They have wine, but I'm not doing that. No, that can't be good from the 99-cent store. But, I always go there for, like, cleaning supplies, like, if you need gift wrapping or whatever.
Yeah.
To do the kids' Easter baskets, that's, like, the perfect place to go. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap the podcast, I just want to get your final thoughts.
Okay.
It could be something positive you want to leave the listeners with. Could be tips for a successful career. Could be both. Could be anything about life that you want to say. Final thoughts that you want to get across.
Gosh, that's so broad. Okay, well, I think I'm just going to stick with career advice for anyone who's looking to be an actor or a model or a filmmaker. I just say, if you look at the pro athletes, use them as an example of how much work it takes to put in something to really be great at it. I think that if you truly believe that it's your calling and you work really, really hard, you might have a chance of getting there. And if you believe it's your gift to the world, I think that we all kind of innately know what it is that we do best and what we can give to others, then, go for it and put your everything into it. And sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it leads to something else, but at least if you know that you put your all into it, you just can't go wrong.
Well, Harmony, thank you so much for meeting me here. And
thank you,
so
Oscar.
sorry for making you wait a little bit.
No problem. I'm used to it. Traffic.
But I think your name is true to you too. You're very harmonious.
Thank you.
Just what you're wearing, the yellows. I love yellows. Today I'm wearing orange because I still feel like it's fall.
I love orange too. Yeah, I'm big into colors.
But yeah, again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
And that was Harmony Smith, actress and filmmaker. My thanks again to her for taking some time out of her day to sit down with me and have a chat for this podcast. And my apologies because I was running a little late, so I got there a little late, and I just hate when people have to wait for me. So we'll have to make it up somehow, and we might just have her again for a second round of the Hangry Mexican podcast. And also my thanks to the Coral Tree Cafe. They were just very awesome, and they just let us be and set up our little equipment there at the cafe, and just have this good old chat. And if you like this episode and you just love the podcast, rate it, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're everywhere podcasts are, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google, TuneIn, and word of mouth. Share it with your friends and family. I think that's the best way to get more ears listening to this podcast. And if you have questions and comments, send them to hangrymexicanpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's hangrymexicanpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to feature some of those comments or questions in future episodes. All that information, of course, you'll find in the description to this podcast. And you can find Harmony Smith on social media as well, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, imdb.com. You can find all of her films that she's done, all of her projects. You'll find her there. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode, and I can't wait to share the next one. So stay tuned. Until then, good night. Good luck.